finals. Well, in a Diamond Creek point of view, they have to win by more than 2 goals. They're clearing the line easily at the moment, ahead by 39 points there at Main Street Reserve, and Lower Plenty is 9-8-62. It currently leads Banyule 8 goals, 6-54. With that game there, we know that while they're both in the finals this year, they won't have a bearing on certainly on the finals that those two sides play. We know that Lower Plenty next weekend will finish second. That means it plays against the the Alphen Football Club at Epping Recreation Reserve. That's the second semi-final, and then it's just a matter of who Banyule plays against. At the moment, it looks like they are destined to take on Diamond Creek in next week's first semi-final in A+ Labour Solutions Division 2. Of course, that game to be played on the Sunday, but that can change if Thomastown can mount a comeback in the second half. Players are now moving into position to recommence the second half here. It's going to be St Mary's kicking to the northern end of the Whittlesea Showgrounds. Panton Hill will kick to the Yea Road, and as we say, Panton Hill have gone the best part of 2 quarters without a goal. They kicked the opening goal of the game, in which time there was 6 minutes played in the game at that stage. Since then, 5 unanswered goals for St Mary's. Could have been greater had they kicked a bit straighter in that second quarter. In the second term, St Mary's 1 goal, 6. Panton Hill managed just the 2 behind. So the teams have now broken from their huddles. St Mary's already in position. Panton Hill players moving into position now, but the Redbacks are certainly going to need a more inspired second half if they are to come from behind and take the first place in this year's grand final. Or we can see a few changes. Mitch Anderson is starting this half in the forward line. Obviously spent most of his time down back for the Redbacks, so they're going with a bit more height there. Obviously Reece Boyden down there as well, Jonty Rushton as well, so a bit more height in that attacking half of the ground for Panton Hill as the umpire holds the ball aloft, and we're ready to go here in the third term at the Whittlesea Showgrounds.
It's St Mary's leading this game by 25 points. The winner goes into the Division 3 grand final. From the restart, Panton Hill get the first clearance of this third term. Inside the forward line it goes. In fact, it's St Mary's, I beg your pardon. Johnston tracks it down. It's being held up in the forward 50. And it will be a secondary stoppage, but this time in the heart of the forward line for St Mary's. 5-8-38 St Mary's to 1-7-13 Panton Hill. Ball thrown back up. It's Ronalds who's in the area, cleared away by Ericsson from the punch. And Conti comes away with it for Panton Hill as they move down the outer side. Mark taken by Fowler. He kicks up the wing. Sadakis just being held back, wins the advantage, took the advantage, and then gets taken down immediately. That's very unlucky from Sadakis. He saw the free space ahead of him, he wanted to take it, but there were 2 St Mary's players on his back. One gave away the free kick, then one won it back with the tackle. Now St Mary's running it down the near side of the ground. Lucci takes a bounce. He kicks up towards the forward line. Dambrauskas came out hard. It hit his hands hard. He couldn't take the mark. It bounces away. Higgins comes in. Dambrauskas regathers. But then he's pushed over the boundary line and it will be thrown in.
We've seen a few of those, haven't we, so far today, Jordan, where players in the forward half have looked for all money to be set for a mark and just dropped ones they would have normally taken. You just wonder whether a little bit of that is just that finals pressure, just expecting maybe contact that's not coming, and a few simple marks just going down.
38 plays 13, 25 points. The difference from half-time is we're a minute and a half into the third term. Higgins goes for a run.
It's up here.
Lands on the roof of our commentary box. Out of bounds on the full from Higgins.
Completely slid off the side of the boot there for Higgins.
Yeah, not a great kick. St Mary's bring it back inboard through Castagnini. He finds Daisley. Daisley runs around on his right boot and sends it high to centre half forward. There's a couple of targets underneath it. Goulden was one of them. It's punched away though by Panton Hill. Higgins gets it back across half back. Conti has to be quick. He is. He measures off the pass and finds Haynes in the middle of the ground. He goes for a dash. A long ball towards the forward 50. Reece Boyden was too far in front of the kick. And Derham takes the relieving mark in the back half for St Mary's. And now the Borough can go down the near side. A quick release to Yeomans on the centre wing position. He squares it up. He steers it towards the forward 50. Dambrauskas underneath it. Maybe was he pushed off the footy? Umpire says no, and Panton Hill allowed to gather. And they sweep across half-back for Duckworth, who then steers the ball to the far side of the ground. It bounces unkindly for Montanaro. It plays Petroro back in for St Mary's. The two of them duel away on the far side of the ground. Now there's reinforcements that come in for both teams. It's Galea who wins it. Outside of the boot, it's a wonky kick towards Johnson at right half forward. It spins past him. Dean's in the play. Handball over the back. Johnston inside. Castagnini tees it up from 45 metres. It hits the base of the post. It was a low kick all the way. It never cleared the top of the padding, but it was goal bound and then faded late and hit the base of the post. And now Panton Hill will counter on the far side.
And we might have Nick Sacco for a quick update.
Yeah, just keep an eye on Dan Browse because he seemed to go down a little bit too easily when he got that ball and got that knock. Seems to be okay. The medic went out to have a look at him. Just keep an eye on him. He looks a little bit groggy. The runner just went out to him now, so just keep an eye on him.
Medic's just leaving the field, so that's one to keep an eye on. But Panton Hill now worked this one to centre wing, and it's Anderson. Anderson kicks down the line. His target was Rushton, who may have been impeded with his run at the ball there. Ends up laying a good tackle, and it's going to be rewarded. Holding the ball paid. In fact, it's Fowler who's laid the tackle. And now the 2014 Greensborough Premiership midfielder has the ball. Still a kick and a half from home. He's going to just short one to Rushton, who marks right on the paint of 50. And he's going back. It looks like Jordan is pretty comfortable. He might have the journey with this one. He's going back to have the shot.
Indeed he is. He's in line with the centre square at the moment, but he will take this kick. So Rushton comes in. It's a long bomb from 51 metres. It will drop on the goal line. Boyden's lurking. He wants the mark. It's still alive. It's held up on the behind line. And the umpire will come in and say it will be a ball up. It's Panton Hill desperate not to give St Mary's the possession back. They didn't want to rush it. And so they've held it up, and it's going to be a ball up right in front of the behind post. Reece Boyden in the contest, and the ruck looks reluctant to take this ruck contest. He wants to be the finisher, but he has to do it in the end, and St Mary's clear it away. Although it's been held up here across half forward. Parks just keeps it in. He toe pokes it further inside play. Then it does go out. That was all hard up against the boundary on left half, on the left forward pocket. A boundary throw in.
You just feel that Panton Hill need one in a hurry just to get some inspiration, don't they? At the moment, it's a bit lackluster for them. Can they find one to just spark them up? It's going to be Anderson with the ruck work. Just a little flick behind. A hack out of the air was goal bound, but marked on the last line of the fence by Lee Sullivan, who quickly turned the pass off to Yeomans, but it put him under the pump. Higgins might have got pushed in the back there, but he hacked it out of the air. Now laying the tackle, or trying to, for Panton Hill is Freeman, but St Mary's get away through Ronald, who was really strong. Kicked the ball out of the fence. Nick Parks tried to break through a tackle. Couldn't quite. A ball slipped at the Fowler. He shovels out a handball. Panton Hill now inside 50 for Parks. He runs around and chips one into the pocket looking for Rushton. Gets there on the bounce. Handball off to Higgins. Little left foot ball around the body's wide. And it goes out of bounds. It's a hard footy to win at the moment. No clean possession. And there's a St Mary's player just down at halfback. I haven't quite been able to work out who that is. I think it was a tackler on Nick Parks.
Yeah, it was Nick Gedge, who was just getting up now, and he was the one who copped that shoulder barge from Nick Parks from Panton Hill as he came charging through.
That's the smaller player on the the bigger player on the smaller one, isn't it? That's a free kick.
It is, and it's a hold, and it's going to be Mitch Anderson's ball. So the captain inside the forward line. The move has been made. He won a free kick from that boundary throw-in, and Mitch Anderson will go back and line up for his first goal of the day. He's only kicked one for the season.
Yeah, well, I think it's the move they just had to make is just try something, get some height in that forward line, and Anderson may deliver.
So Anderson will come in and kick from 25 metres. Left foot on the way. That's a beauty. Why doesn't he play forward more often? That split the middle. That is one of Panton Hill's best kicks of the day, and the captain has given Panton Hill just their second goal. It's at the start of the third term, 7 minutes gone. Panton Hill 2-7-19. Back into 20 points. St Mary's still lead this game with a score of 5-9-39.
Yeah, it's safe to say that was a very much needed goal. Their last goal came at the 6-minute mark of the first term. That one coming at the 6-minute mark of the third. Around the grounds, and we've got Whittlesea still trailing Hurstbridge at the moment by 16 points. 46 plays 62. McLeod 65 leads Northcote Park 20. West Preston is 55 leading Greensborough 25. We'll get back to the rest in a moment's time.
39 plays 19. Panton Hill with their second goal of the day, and they won another inside 50 here. It's a long ball again to Anderson, who's taken the contested grab at left half forward. He directs the kick inboard. He was looking for Reece Boyden, who was outnumbered 2-1. One behind, one in front, blocking the hole. And then it falls to ground in the left forward pocket for Panton Hill. Bergman's the last to get up there for St Mary's, as the umpire will come in and ball it up again. Inside the forward 50. Live on your local station, 88.6 Plenty Valley FM. This is the second semi-final. First v2. 1v2 in the Heidelberg Golf Club Division 3 competition. The winner of this game goes into the grand final in a fortnight from now at this venue. From that ball up in the left forward pocket, it's gone straight back out for a boundary throw in. It's in the forward line for Panton Hill. Anderson guides it down. Galea was in the ruck contest with him. It's gone straight to the turf, and the umpire will come in And we'll have a third consecutive stoppage, this time a ball up.
Anderson into the ruck, I think, is a good move. Need that leadership around the ball. St Mary's dominated the clearances in the first half. High kick comes out of defence here from Manus. Going to have to be a good mark to pull this one in, and it was. Panton Hill man underneath the ball is Mill. And he's going to be kicking from about 50 metres out, probably too far out to score. So he decides to give it off by hand. Long, high, pumping kick that time there from Jonty Rushton. One for the high flyers. No one's going to mark that one. It had snow on it, but by the time it came down, now charging through the contest there, and maybe holding the ball is Todd. Yes, he's gone. He took on the tackler, tried to duck his head. The umpire was having none of it.
Yeah, well, ultimately, you see, his first instinct was to try and break through the tackle, wasn't it? The St Mary's players are arguing that he didn't have possession for long enough, but I guess the umpire is saying, well, he had prior opportunity in that he chose to try and break through a tackle, and now an opportunity after just one goal in the first half for Panton Hill to make it 2 goals in just about as many minutes. It's going to be it's Daniel Freeman with this shot on goal.
One behind so far today for Freeman. Really important kick here in the context of this game for Panton Hill, and he's made no mistake. Freeman puts it through. Panton Hill are charging back into his early stages here in the third quarter. This game's on.
It's back to a 14-point ball game, and Panton Hill moves to 3 goals, 7-25. St Mary's 5-9-39. We've gone 9 minutes in this second quarter as we go to Nick Sacco at groundside.
Yeah, cheers, Samuel. Just an update on Nicholas Gedge. He came off in that challenge just about a few minutes prior. The medics put some magic spray on his left knee. He hasn't sat down. He's been walking around, so seems to be okay. Expect him to come on very soon.
Certainly working in overdrive at the moment, Nick Sacco, boundary side.
14 points the difference here. Panton Hill on the charge. Freeman with the clearance, although it smacks into the chest of Castagnini, who was manning centre-half back.
Just hit that one off the instep.
And Castagnini chip it over the top for Lucci, who takes the mark on the back left corner of the centre square. He's got Dober working into some free space on the wing. He finds him. It's only a short kick. St Mary's still behind the halfway line. Dober forward for Todd, who's marked on the inside edge of the centre square. And now Todd is indecisive. Panton Hill have set up nicely here. St Mary's can only work short kicks from side to side. Castagnini forward for Dober. Still on true centre wing on this Bruce Creek wing. And now Dober runs inside on the right boot and pumps it forward, hoping for a contested grab in the forward line. Anderson's moved himself back. He's dropped the mark. Johnson paddles it forward, but there's numbers back there in red shirts. Panton Hill through a string of handballs, get it out to Mill. He runs through centre half back and then pierces the centre corridor. It's a good hit and a good mark by Haynes, who gets up quickly and plays on. Panton Hill now playing with added urgency to Freeman. Freeman paddles it to himself across right half forward. Suddenly a swarm of black jumpers get him around him, and Castagnini comes away with it for St Mary's. Kicks to Johnston. Johnson couldn't mark in the one-on-one contest on half forward. It rolls out of play.
He's been an important player this term, Castagnini. Of course, last year a Team of the Year member. Spent a bit of time overseas this year, so he's only back in the side in recent weeks, but he's been really important in cutting off a few forays forward for the Panton Hill Footy Club.
So Rucks to go at it. Anderson gets into front position and wins it down away from Dober. A lot of congestion around this. The tackle is laid immediately as the ball hit the deck. Freeman, the last goal scorer. He's thrown up once again. This time Dober gets a hand on it. Down to Todd. Todd just scrambles one forward and lands in the right spot. Dean out on the lead.
Yeah, it's just it pays sometimes to play in front as the forward. On that occasion, he's probably right on the shoulder of his opponent there, was Dean, who took the mark. But I guess the hack kick forward, and it just lands in the arms, fortunately. His kicking boots haven't quite been on, though, today. 3 behind so far for Nick Dean.
This would be a big one for St Mary's. 48 metres out. Is it going to swing back? It starts right. It has swung back. Nick Dean gets his first goal of the day. A really timely one for St Mary's.
Well, it ends a run of 2 straight goals at the other end for Panton Hill, and it just gives St Mary's that bit more breathing space. They move to 6 goals at 9:45. Panton Hill is 3-7-25 around the grounds in Meadows Greyhounds Division 1, where Hurstbridge is 10-8-68 leading Whittlesea 6-4-40. McLeod 65 leads Northcote 22. West Preston 61 leads Greensborough 25. Heidelberg's kicked 8 straight goals. They're 48, trailing Montmorency 52. And Bundoora 36 trails North Heidelberg 39.
So now St Mary's with a bit of wind back in their sails, and they'll get the centre clearance here. Dober lays a foot into it, leathers it to full forward. Gurkovic went early. He's played Goulden into some space. Ronalds comes across and sweeps it up. He chips it back to the top of the goal square. Dean takes the mark. No one in front of him, kicks the goal. And St Mary's restore their lead of 26 points. Dean has kicked 2 in the space of 63 seconds. And St Mary's go to 7-9-51. Panton Hill 3-7-25.
It's a game sometimes of just centimetres and inches. And go back to that ball that went into the corridor before those 2 goals were kicked. There was a 2-on-1. The ball bounced kindly for Castagnini. There was 2 Panton Hill players. Had one of those taken possession, they're streaming towards centre half forward. It goes the other way, and in the blink of an eye, St Mary's pile on 2 goals, and all of a sudden they're back out to a really comfortable advantage.
And now back in the middle, Todd fighting hands and knees to win it again here for St Mary's. Worked it a bit of tunnel ball towards Dober, but he was wrapped up as soon as he picked it up. Secondary stoppage right in the heart of the Whittlesea Showground. 7-9-51 St Mary's, leading Panton Hill 3-7-25. They get the clearance here, the Hillers. Bouncing ball is an awkward one for all in sundry. Now at ground level, Manuse is wrapped up as soon as he had it. So there will be a stoppage this time about 45 metres out from the Panton Hill goal.
So 14 minutes have ticked over in this third term. St Mary's 7-9-51, leading Panton Hill 3-7-25.
Dober went up and he didn't nominate. So it's going to be a Panton Hill free kick inside forward 50.
I'm not sure if we use it. I think they're paying more the block on Rushton there, I think, on that occasion, because he did go up by himself there, Dover, but I think it was because there was another player impeding Rushton's run at that footy.
Do we not play that? I thought I've seen Ruckman use their hands.
Yeah, I don't think it's enforced as strictly, but I'm pretty sure it was paid for the shepherd out there.
So a long ball from 48 metres to get Panton Hill back on track. It is a beauty of a kick. Sensational long ball that was.
And Rushton kicks his side's 3rd goal for the quarter and 4th for the game, and St Mary's lead is cut to 20 points, 7-9-51. Panton Hill 4-7-31. We said at the start of the game, obviously no Matty Byron there. We know he plays a central role to that forward line with Reece Boyden. It puts certainly more pressure on Boyden when there's no Byron, but they're the kind of players who need to step up in the absence. And Rushton now, he's kicked his first, and you probably feel for them to win, he might have to kick 2 or 3 more and finish with a bag of goals to get his side across the line.
We had 8 behinds in the second term. We've had a run of 5 straight goals combined from both teams in the last couple of minutes, 10 minutes or so. St Mary's from the restart get the clearance to left half forward. Johnson in the race. It's paddled away over the line by Forster it is, and it goes out of play on the near side of the ground in front of all the spectators who have set themselves up on the park benches. One of the unique sights of the Northern Football Netball League, all the white painted old benches here at Whittlesea Showgrounds. Ball thrown back in. Left half forward here for St Mary's. Gedge had it in the air, then he's taken to grounds. And a big tackle laid there by Nick Parks, the ruckman, so we'll have another stoppage. As the game just falls into a lull for a moment as we have a string of balls up and throw-ins. Dober went up in the contest. Petroro, he's being pushed wide at left half forward. He gets it. He sends a high one to the top of the goal square. It's off hands and rushed through for a behind. It was on line as well from Petroro, who was being pushed wide at left half forward. Kicked it from 50. It wasn't going to carry, but it was certainly on line, and Panton Hill now kick out from full-back.
Mark is taken by Brent Ryan. Works it out wide to the outer side. Panton Hill off and running. Chipping ball is a short one, but a good one to Dines. Right in front of the scoreboard. Couple of leads further afield. He decides to just kick to a bit of a pack. And it's Dober knocking it over the fence.
As we go around the grounds, A+ Labour Solutions Division 2, Thomastown 5-9-39. Just can't close in on Diamond Creek, who are 12-9-81 elsewhere. 62 Lowell Plenty trails Banyule 66, Epping 32 trails Eltham 65, and Watsonia skipped away. They're 64, leading Fitzroy Stars 34.
Is that 81 to 39, Diamond Creek?
That's right, it's 42 points the difference.
Dober put it out into space. A big tackle was laid by Masuda on a Panton Hill man. This time Dober wins it down again. The check side ball comes from Dan Brauskas towards centre half forward off the hands of Dean. Goulden tries to slap it back in his direction. Now he's going to have to be good here. Mill at ground level, paddling it towards his defensive goal. He falls over, loses possession, but it still gets rushed through by the Panton Hill defence. There were enough players there to just put enough pressure on St Mary's that they couldn't get the soccer off the ground.
They made hard work of it, though.
The margin still extends to 22. The Panton Hill players just stayed down a little while there, so we'll keep an eye on that one as well. But it's St Mary's 53, leading Panton Hill 31. We've gone 17 and a half minutes in the third quarter.
The ball's out on the far side. Panton Hill trying to rebound out of defence, but they've lost possession. And then a tackle. And it's a ball up, I think, at right half forward. It is. Panton Hill trying to move out of their back half, but they were held up. St Mary's win a stoppage. On right half forward, Ronalds wanted the handball over the top, taken away by Fowler. Comes out to Ericsson, shovels out a handball for Forster, who was running in the wrong direction. He gets the crumbs. Sam Parks tries to shrug a tackle, fires a handball inboard for Higgins, who's taken down. Mown down from behind by Dambrauskas. He was about to motor away, Higgins, but Dambrauskas was breathing down his neck. And Dambrauskas kicks inboard with his ensuing free kick. Gedge takes it, kicks it into the middle of the park for Hocking. Hocking at the top of the circle, directs the kick inboard, but it's been picked off. And as quickly as they won it, they've lost it. Panton Hill get it through Ryan at centre half back.
Umpire in an awkward spot there for the Dean lead.
Nearly had a specky taken on him.
Chipping ball comes inboard here for Panton Hill. Ericsson slowing it down at half back. And he moves it forward with a 35-metre ball, but it's straight down the throat of a St Mary's man. And
Petrora just worked his way on the ground here from the bench. He might be in.
They are on for the switch here. It's a 2-on-1, and Petroro takes it lace out, doesn't have to break stride, runs inside 50, puts boot to ball, and it just wobbles out to the left. It's a great opportunity.
There are kids that have run onto the field. There's about 3 kids who are no older than 4 years old who have all run onto the field across half forward.
Call for a head count there. I'm not sure who they're playing for.
The mums have come out to pick them up.
One's got a St Mary's jumper on.
Petrora just hasn't had the kicking boots on today, has he? Could have been the game breaker. It's 54-31, but a few of his shots just missing. 2 behinds for the day. That time had plenty of space.
Panton Hill with a chance going inside forward 50. He was over the head of Boyd, and the St Mary's defence had set up pretty well. Lucci comes out from half back. His teammate dropped the mark, but he's got time to gather. Now a long kick comes out here for St Mary's to Potter, who takes the lead and then goes. He's got a big lead coming here from the man in Goulden. He tried to take it on the bounce. It was an awkward one. Gurkovic did really well to keep the ball in Panton Hill's possession. Slipping the tackle there on that occasion, there was Matt Fowler, handed up to a man who was hot. Big tackle, and it's locked up about 45 metres out from the St Mary's goal.
Kids are safe and sound back in the bleachers.
Just looking at the Panton Hill forward setup at the moment, they've got all their big guns forward, don't they? It's still the continuing with Anderson, Rushton and Boyden forward of the ball.
Here goes Dines, lays off the handball to Montanaro. His kick hugs the boundary, wanting Rushton, who guides it down with one hand, couldn't take the mark. Minners and Derham combining forces. They couldn't reel in the ball and bring it under their spell, so in the end they just push the ball out over the line along with Jonty Rushton. Throw in right beneath our commentary position. 52 plays 31. St Mary's with the lead here. We're into time on. 21st minute of this third term. And it's a ball in. Right half forward for Panton Hill. Parks missed it in the ruck contest. Dines flicks it on. Todd was in there. He lost control of it. It rolls across the line of 50 here for Panton Hill. There's all St Mary's numbers there, though there is one Panton Hill player brave enough to venture forward, and it's Sam Parks, who is one of the hardest workers in their midfield. Won the player of the day last week in their game against against Mernda. Ball thrown back up. Parks dives in, collects it again. Fires off a handball to Haynes, who paddles it down. He wanted the run of Freeman coming through, but it was picked off by Sullivan and Masudo. Masudo then lays the tackle on Ryan Boyden, and it will be another stoppage. Centre half forward again for Panton Hill. Nick Parks wins the ruck battle. He gets the clearing kick to full forward. Underneath it, Anderson bounces off the chest of Minners. Sullivan's lost it as well. Russian applying the pressure. He's the only one there for Panton Hill. There's 3 or 4 St Mary's players against the one Redback. Finally, Panton Hill get numbers in that immediate area, and it's another stoppage. Right forward pocket. Panton Hill trailing this game by 23 points. Ball thrown back up. Out the back, it's taken by, I think, Fowler, who's taken down by Derham, and there'll be yet another ball up. As Todd and Ryan Boyden have words to say to each other.
It's a massive time in the game, isn't it? Because you feel that St Mary's certainly has control, but it's only a 23-point ball game. If Panton Hill can get 1, maybe 2 goals late, all of a sudden you go into the last and it's anyone's game.
High one from Manus out towards half-back, trying to take the mark with Petroro, couldn't bring it in, but he's got a teammate, Yeomans, running for him, and now charging through the contest was Hockey. He went the body, not the ball, but he had teammates there to help out. Once again, Yeomans goes in and wins the hard ball. He's got a couple of one-on-ones further afield. He needs Jake Johnston to get the skates on here because his opponent's got the best position, but Johnston did really well to trap it. His kicker was under pressure though, and it just tumbles towards the points and rolls through for 1 behind. 23 minutes gone. It's a 24-point ball game.
So it's St Mary's 7-13-55. Panton Hill 4-7-31. This quarter, St Mary's have added the 2 goals, 5. Panton Hill the 3 goals straight. So St Mary's the more scoring shots this term, but trail the quarter by a point.
Johnson did very well to win the ball back. Mills was leading that race back to goal, but Johnson got in and stripped it off him. It was just unfortunate for him that his kick was offline. Panton Hill have worked the ball to the far side quickly, and it goes out for a boundary throw in centre wing.
Since quarter time, boys, St Mary's have had the 16 scoring shots, and they've had, in fact, it's the 14 scoring shots, only the 3 goals though.
55-31, St Mary's leading. Ball thrown back in. Gedge toe pokes it forward for Dambrauskas, who's taken down in the tackle. Another ball up. We've had 5 goals in this term and also 5 behinds combined from both teams. Game high margin of 26 at the start of the term. It's at 24 at the moment. We've gone 24 minutes on 88.6 Plenty Valley FM in this third quarter of the second semi-final. St Mary's against Panton Hill. St Mary's come into this game finishing the home and away season 15-1. Panton Hill 11-5. St Mary's undoubtedly the best team during the regular season. As the ball is moved 20 metres down the sideline and goes out again across right half forward for a throw-in.
They're proving themselves defensively though, aren't they? Obviously it's been a young side that's come through together, but they've really starved Panton Hill of great opportunities throughout the course of the day. I think it's been a really professional performance. Hasn't been all that pretty, but I think defensively they've really stood up this afternoon.
Ball tapped towards the boundary line. Daisley's able to keep it in. Wormburner that goes low towards full forward. Goulden out of position. Nice work by Gurkovic to work it to a teammate, but they've lost it here. Panton Hill. Ball's out into a little bit of space. Potter trying to pick it up at ground level, trying to shrug the tackle, threw it away. Umpire said it wasn't holding the ball. Panton Hill now bursting out of defence. Here they go through Fowler. Sweeping handball out towards half-back, and then a kick long down the line, searching for Rushton to mark. He's got good front position here against Manus, but Manus tracks him and dispossesses him and wins a free kick. Holding the ball, Lee Manus, player of the day.
That is outstanding work by the 2-time best and fairest winner.
Brings it inboard to Todd. And the St Mary's crowd is vocal now. High one from Todd towards half forward. Intercepted. Great courageous mark there by Duckworth at half back.
Cop one in the eye as well, Lee Manus, so he's coming off on the bench for his efforts. And it's Ryan from full back here for Panton Hill, who penetrates the corridor and finds a kick in Fowler. Fowler then goes further forward for Reece Boyden, who hasn't taken the mark all day. Lee Sullivan's warned him well, but Boyden follows up with his own tackle, and he's mugged his man as well.
Well, there was great work there by Reece Boyden. The kick didn't really favour him. It was probably more to the side of Sullivan, but Ryan Boyden was the other target inside 50, didn't get used. He was all by himself. That was a result of Minners coming from the ground there, and Castanini was trying his hard out to get back, but Ryan Boyden was loose. Didn't work out to him, but his brother now has a shot on goal to make this, if he can convert, an 18-point ball game.
So Reece Boyden with his free kick. He's just left of true centre half forward. He comes in and kicks from 45 metres. It floats through the air and it hits the post. 3/4 of the way up on the right goal post, on the siren of 3/4 time as well. Another short quarter which went 26 minutes, and that could have been a goal that just gets Panton Hill back into the game as we head into the last term, but as it is, it was just a behind for Reece Boyden. And at the break, it means we've got 1 quarter to go in this second semi-final, and St Mary's go into the final change, leading 7-13-55 to Panton Hill 4-8-32.
So